Hello, and thank you for inviting me to share my father's story, which I've captured in my book, Yet, a story of triumph over childhood separation, trauma, and disability. Did you have British ancestors who were children between 1900 and 1950? If so, there's a significant chance that bovine tuberculosis touched your family. Historians have called it Britain's most sustained foodborne epidemic, and it's been estimated to have killed over 800,000 people nationally and disabled countless more. The book is inspired by my father, Parker-Drabble, who won a local baby competition in 1935, but at just 2 years old, he was diagnosed with bovine tuberculosis after drinking infected unpasteurized milk. The diagnosis changed his life forever. Harry spent years of his childhood strapped into frames or encased in a full body plaster cast. Immobilized for months and years at a time, he endured isolation in Sheffield's King Edward VII Memorial Hospital for crippled children. As he lay on his back, unable to move, questions went unanswered and his emotional needs were ignored. As a child, I was fascinated by my father's stories of his early life, so different from my own. But when I naively suggested he write them down, he shuddered. I came to understand why. His childhood was defined by trauma. He was one of hundreds of thousands of British children who became unnecessarily disabled after consuming infected milk. His condition led to treatments delivered on a shoestring budget, where survival and mitigating physical disability were the only aims. In the 1930s and 40s, there was little awareness of child psychology or the need of stable long-term emotional attachments. My father and children like him grew up without the consistent care of loving parents. Instead, they faced emotional neglect in institutions, which can leave lifelong scars, anxiety, depression, distrust, difficulty regulating emotions, and challenges in forming healthy relationships. The toll extended beyond the children. The doctors and nurses tasked with treating these young patients were forced to disconnect from their own and the children's emotions to cope while they delivered the only care they could. Harry said, doctors and nurses just had to get on with what they had to do. They had no time for the patient's well-being. It was the routines and practical tasks that mattered. It made their job more difficult if you were obviously homesick. Dad shared his story with me throughout his life, trying, I think, to make sense of himself and what he'd been through. Before he died, he was worried about the resurgence of tuberculosis and its growing resistance to antibiotics. I told him I couldn't find anything written about child patients and their experiences. He began to collaborate with me, hoping that policymakers worldwide would listen to the mistakes of the past. The first part of Yet explores my father's diagnosis, treatment, and hospital life, along with the medical and psychological toll of his separation from his parents. Harry said, "You were a patient among many. You were anonymous. They were doing their job, but there are ways of doing it. They weren't doing it as one should with a sick child. I didn't trust them anymore because I never knew what they were going to do to me." The middle section of Yet reflects on his return home at the start of the Second World War. While grappling with prejudice against disabled individuals, he also believed Hitler's invasion would mean death for children like him. He struggled to reconnect with his parents between readmissions. He said, minimizing contact between parents and child left as a brick wall to get over each time I came out. Home also felt small and claustrophobic. I wanted none of it. It's not that they were anything but kind and supportive, but they didn't know what to do with me, nor I them. Part 3 focuses on my father's determination to build a life, finding love, defying expectations, and proving wrong the doctors who said he'd never walk without crutches, work, marry, or support a family. At its heart, the book carries a powerful message that my father embodied. That resilience is not about erasing challenge, but doing the best with the hand we're dealt. His mantra was simple yet transformative. I can't yet. That single word yet became a bridge from despair to hope, from, as he put it, can't do to can do. Harry said, someone once told me it was easy in your day. They didn't have a clue. I wasn't thought capable of living independently. It was made clear that work, interests, a girlfriend, marriage, and children, all the ordinary things, weren't for the likes of me. I worked bloody hard all my life in a hostile environment, in a society where disabled people were expected to be silent and take up as little space as possible, preferably out of sight. This story is not just about my father. It's a lens into a forgotten chapter of British history and a reminder of what can go wrong. Tragically, many of the children who lived after contracting bovine TB didn't survive well. Those who had children often unwittingly passed on a problematic psychological legacy. It highlights how damaging early experiences are when there is no one to help a child process what is happening to them, and how early adversity can weaken their resilience and their long-term physical and psychological health. It calls on policymakers to be mindful of the mistakes of the past as they plan for the future. My father's story also shows how love, music, and education transformed his life. Against all odds, he taught himself to read and mastered the violin. He forced doors open that had been slammed shut on him as a disabled child, found ways to earn qualifications, and created a life filled with purpose and love. As we reflect, yet serves as a reminder of how far we've come. It contributes to conversations about inclusions, accessibility, and the importance of remembering those who are marginalized and forgotten. If we fail to address antibiotic resistance or ignore the lessons of the past, we risk failing the children of the future. Thank you for allowing me to share a glimpse of Yet with you. This story speaks for many children whose voices will never be heard. It's a testament to the resilience of those who, like my father, refuse to be defined by their limitations. Please help me raise awareness of the effects of bovine TB by sharing this story with friends, family, and colleagues. If you'd like to learn more, request Yet from a library. It's available as an ebook, paperback, hardback, and in large print. Reviews on Amazon, Goodreads, or your favorite platform are the key for readers to discover this book. You can visit my website, helenparker-drabble.com, for articles, updates, and more about my work. I appreciate your listening to my father's story. I hope it stays with you when you think of your own ancestors who spent time in long stay hospitals as children.